This is the Primal Fire Podcast with your host, Jayson the Argonaut.
Okay, so I don't hate everything, myself included. However, there's this constant battle within to shake others until they understand what kindness, loyalty, compassion means versus turning the other cheek on hypocrisy and solipsistic people by ignoring. Why do I feel this need to make people become decent human beings? I noticed I get most affected by those who cannot see past their own noses. I feel rage directed at myself and at others when I give and they take. I go in circles, making excuses, questioning intent. I have the deepest desire to be understood, to feel like someone gets me. My dearest friends tell me, Cake, you have to realize not everyone is like you. And for the briefest moment, I agree. Inevitably, I circle back to questioning why others can't have as deep of an understanding about me as I do them. Why can they not give as they receive from me? This desire to be understood is most likely due to the fact that I don't understand myself. I am disconnected from emotions. Cake, how do you really feel? Is on a constant loop in my head. This constant loop is the byproduct of something deeper. I need to find meaning in just about everything this universe has to offer. I cannot stop asking questions. I was a why child, and it seems I haven't shaken that part of my identity. Do I even want to? Why would I want to accept things at the surface level? Why would anyone? When someone does accept surface level answers, I get triggered and start that internal rage of wanting to shake them and scream. Words aren't just words. There are 10 levels of deepness to uncover. I just had an epiphany rereading all of this. I must understand myself first. I'm a 50,000 piece puzzle. This should be fun. And this indeed should be fun.
Epiphany. I'm going, you did?
I did. Honestly, I did. So it's a little bit different as I'm used to interviewing men. She and I talked about this earlier. So this is different territory for me because I'm used to talking to men or kittens. So talking to human women is it's not that I haven't before. It's just like a brand new, like a resurfacing for me. So my guest today is pretty well known at this point across social media. She also has a blog that she has a lot of great writings based on her experiences, which we will talk about today. Some have been good, some have been not so good. So I'm going to let her introduce herself, and she will be able to tell us why she's here and what exactly her biggest traumatic experiences were. So with that being said, Cake, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Everybody knows me as Cake. I am a mother to 4-year-old twins, an artist, a photographer, a writer. I ventured onto Twitter to kind of spread, this message of hope and healing. I went through some pretty intense stuff about 1.5 years ago. My mom got diagnosed with lung cancer. A couple of weeks later, I found out my husband had been secretly recording me nude in the bathroom. And things spiraled out of control after that. I subsequently filed for divorce. I'm still in the process. It's been a roller coaster.
Did your mother get the diagnosis before the voyeurism happened or after?
Before, just literally only a couple of weeks before.
Okay, so you were already in the stages of deep psychological trauma before all this stuff happened.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm an only child. Her and I are thick as thieves. We live less than 5 minutes from each other. So it was a lot of weight already on my shoulders. I kind of had to step into immediately caretaker role. My stepfather was still working at that point, so I was taking her to all these appointments. And then, found out about my husband.
So, with your mom, what all kinds of things? I know you and I had discussed briefly that she wants to get out, and you can't blame her. It'll turn you into. It's bad enough to be sick, but to be cooped up, you just become a basket case, and it's it's like, Cake, you know good and well I got to get up out this house. I don't know why I'm making her out to be 90, but she wants to get out and do things, and I know that's also it can probably get a little bit, because I know I get annoyed with my mother. I think we all do.
Yeah.
And my mother had breast cancer. That's probably the only time I didn't get annoyed with her was when she had breast cancer.
Right.
That was the one time that I actually became the good son, and I still could have done better, but it puts a lot of responsibility on us. That's not a pity party, but what this has been going on for quite some time. How many years has she had this going on?
Just a year and a half.
Okay. So what stage is it?
She was diagnosed at stage 3. They operated and took the initial tumor out, so it went down to a 1, but it's back up to a 3 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she ever smoke?
She was a smoker, yes.
She was a smoker.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what kind of obstacles do you find yourself going into with that, other than the fact that she wants to get the hell out of the house?
Right now, or when she was first diagnosed?
Altogether.
Gosh, trying to raise my own kids, while also kind of flipping roles with her, as far as I'm not child anymore, I am parent. So I'm parenting a 69-year-old and then 4-year-olds almost, and everybody's going in opposite directions. I feel like I'm pulled apart a lot of times. I don't know if it's a cancer or whatnot. Her behavior has changed, and so I'm trying to, deal with realizing my mom is not my mom anymore. Who is this new woman? She's angry all the time. She's bitter. Not my mom at all. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells a lot. Yeah, so it's been a learning curve.
Yeah, I would assume that. And your twins are how old now?
They're 4.
Okay, so you've really got to fight to hold it together.
Oh,
and that's so your art and your writing. I mean, those are your outlets.
Absolutely.
And I've seen it's almost, it is poetic, and it sucks that a lot of the times sadness is what brings out the most beautiful art, because a lot of people still don't know this. I'm a singer-songwriter. I've never once said, I'm feeling pretty damn good today, I'm gonna write a song.
Right.
It's never happened. I don't have happy songs. I wouldn't know how to write a happy song. My favorite happy song is Tiptoe Through the Tulips by Tiny Tims, because it's weird. Yeah. And he was actually who got me into music for whatever reason. But I knew you were a writer, but I didn't know you were an artist until you got into until I got into reading your work. So I'm guessing your art is abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever pops in my mind, I do, and it varies between painting and charcoal, and then photography. So. Okay,
that's right. You're a photographer as well. I've seen a little bit of your work that, because you don't have a whole lot of that broadcasted, do you?
No. It's mainly people, so I try not to broadcast that everywhere.
Right. Gotcha. So moving into the other situation, the one that you're perhaps best known for, and I know you're proud to be known for that, of all the ways to get recognition, it's via shower cam that you aren't getting paid for. So the thing that this is something that crossed my mind yesterday or the day before. I was thinking a lot of people have red flags that we ignore. So I would if I ever gave myself another moniker, it would be Mr. Red Flag. So it would be kind of like an A, because we wear that. It wouldn't be Mr. Figured out the red flags and got his shit together. It would be Mr. Red Flag, because I'd have to wear it, because I actually ignored more red flags than I just didn't know about.
Really?
Because when you're in love, that's what you do. You want to say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with my lover. They're with me. Mm-hmm. Evil can't exist. So did you know something was up before you found out?
No, not at all. Not even prior to marriage. I know a lot of people don't believe me. I see you always said vet your partner, but there were zero red flags. Everybody loved him. Family, friends, nobody ever came to me and said, hey, Cake, I feel something a little off, or this is a little strange. I was completely blindsided by all of it. In the marriage, once we had the twins, things obviously got a little chaotic. We had 2 babies, and, intimacy declined or whatnot, and I just assumed it was because of the kids. I had no idea there were other things going on.
So was that the only situation that you know of that happened?
It goes back as far as 2016. After I filed, I was putting some evidence onto a flash drive to take my attorney, and happened to stumble across another video on the laptop from 2016. Yeah. So who knows how long? I haven't found anything since, but yeah, so it was obviously a problem.
How did you initially find out?
I saw the tablet that he had set up. He had it propped up against the bathroom wall with on the countertop between the wall and a box of Kleenex. And I had actually just come home from the hospital. It was after my mom had her tumor removed, and I spent the night with her. I got home from the hospital that next morning. I was just like, I just want to take a bath, go to bed. I was exhausted, and got in the bath, happened to look over. I saw the tablet sitting there with the camera pointed towards me. I don't think I thought anything at the time, and then saw it again either later that day or the next day, and kind of went, what's happening here? Why is that there? And so he went to work that Monday, and I took it from where it was and started going through it. Found everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was that the only instance with the shower? Was there other things that were going on too? I mean, as far as the filming is what I mean.
I had caught him twice, probably a couple months prior to that, trying to actually film us in the act, and told him that wasn't okay. He obviously didn't listen, or whatever.
Well, that probably made it more exciting. Probably made it more thrilling at that point, because voyeurism is a serious thing. Because if the other person knows, then it's not voyeurism. So that kind of fetish is, the more deviant it can be, then the better. I mean, it's not. I don't want you to know. So when I found all of this and approached him about it, I found a lot of just like heinous porn on this tablet as well, other than my videos. I get people watch porn or whatever. This was just like taboo. And so when I approached him with all this stuff, he admitted to a 15-year-long porn addiction. Like there were serious problems here that I was completely blindsided. Yeah, it's a problem. We talk about it in the manosphere, whatever you want to call it. That, I mean, normally if a guy says he doesn't look at porn, he's either a liar or a guy who had a problem with it and really got over it.
Absolutely.
And I understand what it's like. I had a problem with it, but when I say I had a problem with it, I don't mean that I'd get ready and go down there and look at porn and do the thing. I mean, I was bored and I would look at porn. It wasn't even sexually stimulating anymore.
Right.
So that's the problem. The first thing that happens with porn and sexual deviance is it starts out here, but it can't get devious enough. It can't get dirty enough. It has to be more. And okay, well, what can I do now? Okay, let's bring a cardboard box into it. I mean, just whatever you start, because you start to lose your shit. You start to lose your shit when you're a deviant, and this is the thing you're into. And in his situation, getting found out, well, what's next? Now what do I do? How do I satisfy this urge? That sort of thing. So, I mean, I can't even imagine, because I'm a dude. So if I found out a girl was filming me, I'd be like, cool. I mean, she thought that much. I'm a dude. I mean, what? It's like I always tell people don't like this when I say this, but it's very hard. It's very difficult to sexually harass a man.
Yeah.
I've been at work and girls have literally come up and grabbed my junk. What am I going to do? Report them? I'd be the laughing stock of the factory. I mean, why would I do that? And a lot of people disagree with me on that, but it's just not a big of a deal. But for a woman, violation is so much easier, and it takes so much less to do it. And it's not cute. There's something cute about it.
It was absolute violation of my basic human rights to privacy. By this man who I married, who was supposed to be protecting me, not causing me that kind of harm. Because I don't know to this day if I was broadcasting to the internet, if I have no clue. No, I mean, he put me in harm. He put our children in harm.
Yeah.
If anything goes online, it's there forever. Right. But he just he violated my basic human rights. It wasn't okay.
Right. How did you guys go forward with custody after that? Is there custody?
Well, I actually gave him a chance. I wanted to. For one, I did enough research. I understood that his porn addiction stemmed from some kind of trauma in his own life. Like, you don't just choose to become addicted. Something's gone on, especially a 15-year-long addiction. Like, something has happened, and I felt for him. It broke my heart. I wanted to see him get better for our children, mostly, and for himself, and then for the nuclear family. So I set him up with a counselor, and said, you've got one shot. I'll give you a chance. I even forgave the hidden recordings at first. And as months went on, there was just no remorse. There was no effort to try and rebuild what he had demolished. And I realized a couple months in that I couldn't control how he dealt with all of this. I could just control myself and how I was going to heal. And that environment was just absolutely chaotic. I couldn't heal. I couldn't. So I had to file.
Right. So you tried to do that before you even filed divorce.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was going to just abandon him. I very much believe in marriage and the nuclear family, and I took vows, and I take vows very seriously. And but his lack of remorse and the behavior wasn't getting better. It was only getting worse. I was being manipulated and gaslit and just emotionally abused. I was on top of trauma, on top of 2 traumatic experiences at this point. And I didn't even know who I was anymore. And I knew enough to know that I could not live that way any longer. I couldn't. My children deserved better, and I deserved better.
The thing that is great about you, to me, that really stood out about me is, with modern day feminism running rampant, you have a lot of women jumping on the feminism bandwagon without any kind of trauma ever having happened to them. They've never been mistreated. They've never been violated. They've never had, they may have had a dick for a boyfriend or something, but we're all dicks at some point.
Right.
And it didn't stop you from not only didn't stop you from not hating men, but you're very pro man. You actually speak out for us, and that's an amazing thing. So it speaks volumes that if a woman who went through what she went through and didn't put men in a box, then there may be hope for the rest of, the female population, that they can see that, a traumatizing event doesn't mean you have to be, permanently traumatized forever over everything and then just be angry and hateful. And because you're not an angry, hateful person. Yeah. You write things. Some of it's dark. Why wouldn't it be?
Right.
Well, a lot of it's dark, and there is some anger in it. But you're never, men this, men that. And how are you able to come to terms with the fact that, even though this happened to you, that you're not going to go out there and just be a man-hating modern day feminist?
I very much believe we are individuals, and I'm not going to punish an entire gender for a bad apple in the bunch. None of you guys did anything to me. I very much believe that you all have a purpose to protect women, children. I believe in masculinity, and I'm not going to punish you guys for something you had no part in at all.
Yeah, we actually wish we had more female voices out there, because there's another part of the problem. Part of the problematic puzzle is that a lot of men, and I may have been guilty about this. I may have jumped on a bandwagon myself sometimes, because I've had a few girlfriends that were okay. I've had some that were absolute train wrecks. I've had some that just, how do you sleep at night? How do you live with yourself? And I don't hate women either, and never will. And there are a lot of men out there who are basically teaching other men to hate women because they had one-itis one time, because their girl cheated on them, and they don't understand. They can't separate logic from emotion. And there's a war going on. And you have the modern day feminists on one side, and you have the MGTOWs on the other side, the no-fappers, which I'm sorry, I'm so tired of hearing about. When you post, I just realized that my sunglasses are hanging from my shirt. What an asshole. So you have, when you get on Twitter and you do your hashtag nofap, when you tell me and you tell the world that you didn't touch your pee-pee today, I still have a mental picture of you touching your pee-pee.
Right.
Please stop. No-fap. No-fap should be just as private as fap.
Yeah.
And there's this huge movement, because you're not solving anything by not whacking off. As a matter of fact.
Thank you.
I honestly don't see anything wrong with it if you do it in a healthy way. Go in the shower, get it out of your system.
Right.
Especially if you're over the age of 40.
Right.
I have a friend who went to the doctor, and he actually saw the doctor's assistant because he had an enlarged prostate. And we can actually feel when it's a little bit bigger than it should be. Because, so he goes to the doctor, and he's like, and he talks to the nurse. I think she was a doctorate of nursing. So she was I don't know what she was, but either way, she was a nurse or a PA. And he was talking to her about it. She checked him out, and she said, "Are you, sexually active?" "No, I'm single, blah, blah, blah." She says, "Well, you need to get that out of you." He's 56. She said, "You need to get it out of you." And he's like, "What do you mean?" She said, "You need to get it out of you at least 3 times a week." And he said, she said, "By any means necessary." He said, "So you mean?" She said, "By any means necessary." So when we're younger and in our sexual craziness as boys, it's actually, even though you can't hold it, it's healthy to hold it. When you get over the age of 40, 45, something like that, when they tell you to start checking the prostate anyway, it's more prone to get enlarged, and you have to make it work. So if you're single, you're going to have to.
Right.
So these no-fap crazy people, You know, if they're 30 or 25, 30, whatever, that's great, man. If it keeps you in a good frame of mind, because you shouldn't be chasing ass. You should be chasing your purpose. And I can tell women the same way. You know, don't chase the third leg. Chase your purpose.
And also, I don't think a lot of them, like, a lot of those no-fabbers legit do have kind of a problem with porn, specifically. And they don't understand that, like, you cannot touch yourself for 30 days, but that's not going to get to the actual problem, because guess what? In the next 30 days, you're going to go right back to an escort or a prostitute or porn again or something.
Right.
Not understanding there's a root here. And they're just slapping Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids by not touching themselves. And, you know, so...
It's as they say, they're treating the symptom, not the cause.
Absolutely.
Because you could almost at this point, because since obesity has been labeled as a disease, you could really pretty much label porn addiction as a disease, alcoholism disease, all this kind of stuff is a disease, and it doesn't have to be a physical disease. There is the mental disease. If you can have disease, really doesn't necessarily mean you have sores and stuff like that. But I think it's causing a huge divide, because you got men going their own way, and they can't go their own way without being angry. And then you have feminists who are shunning men, and they can't shun men, or they can't just respect themselves and not, because I'll be the first one to tell women, don't take any shit from men. Tell men, don't take any shit from women. Nobody takes shit from anybody. We need to start generalizing respecting ourselves instead of it being a war. It's not one thing. It's okay. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, as long as you're chasing your purpose, as long as you're being kind, not nice, for men, then you're going to acquire a girlfriend. I mean, you're going to get one. That's what they want.
It's really not hard. It's like they make it so hard, and it's just not that hard.
Right. And
this is a bunch of hurting people, or, assuming just because your ex-girlfriend Stacy did something to you that all the rest of the girls are going to be this way. It's just not true.
Yeah.
Most
I mean,
are healthy, normal, awesome men, and same for females.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Stacy. She's something though. She can cause some problems.
You guys have an ex Stacy.
Do I have an ex named Stacy? Stacy's mom. But no, I don't think ever. It's kind of sad. I wonder if that's sad if you can't remember all the names of your exes. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a huge issue right now, and it's not getting any better. And all these movements. We got the no fat movement. We got the MGTOW movement. We got the red pill movement. We got this movement, that movement. And why can't we just move? Move away from crap.
Just don't tell people what they have to be, what they have to do, what their role should be. Just support what their desires are. That's simple. Don't blame me because I'm a single mom. You should be supporting me or teaching me what I need to do to help my son, to find a mentor for my son. Don't just make me feel bad that I have a son and I'm a single mom. Like, that doesn't solve anything.
Right.
Or for him, or for society.
Yeah. You have one boy and one girl, right?
Right.
Okay. So do you ever fear that he's going to have an issue swimming in the sea of estrogen because he lives with a sister and a mother? You ever kind of feel like,
Absolutely.
You have, what can I teach him, that kind of thing?
Yeah. I fortunately fell into a good group of guys that told me soon enough, he's going to need good male influence in his life, and helped me understand why. And that's a big thing women don't get, because nobody explains it to them why boys need men in their lives. They're just told they need men in their lives. And so we're left going like, okay, but like, where do we just go pick up Joe from the bar? Like, what are you talking about?
Damn it, Joe. God.
Joe and Stacy screwed.
Joe and Stacy, man, both of them at the damn bar.
So they really helped me understand the biology and mechanics behind why he was going to need male influence in his life. And so I'm cognizant of that now. I feel like I worry about it, but I worry less than probably other women.
Yeah, you're a step ahead because I was raised by a single mom. I mean, I had my dad. I'm not going to bash my dad. I had my dad. My dad instilled in me a hellacious work ethic. When I was with my dad, I was working. There wasn't a whole lot of playtime. So, and for years I resented him for it. And now I don't, because I don't want playtime. When I get playtime, I get bored. When I get bored, I get depressed.
Right.
And people want me to go do this and do that. And it's like, I either want to be in the woods or I want to be at work. I always fall into this, oh man, I got tomorrow off. Oh, I've had the whole day off, man. I'm just going to relax. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. And it's because of this whole men needing a purpose thing. And it's good on you for having some positive male influences in his life. And luckily my mother told me that there was no being a puss. There was none of that.
Yeah. No.
You know, if somebody screws with you, you pop them out.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't, you don't get, now my mother was a helicopter mom at the same time. A lot of moms are. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that, but she did not put up with any kind of feminine thing. If she thought for 1 second some feminine things were going on, she'd question me about it.
Yeah.
And she said it. This may offend some people. I really don't care. You know me. But she walked in there and she found the Playboys. Mm-hmm. And I was like 14. She found the Playboys and some kind of hardcore stuff. And she had told some friends of her about it, and they were like, "What are you gonna do? I mean, that's bad." She said, "At least that ain't Playgirls."
True that.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, that's just how it was.
I know someday my kids are going to obviously be old enough to understand what mom went through. Mm-hmm. And I want them to know mom kicked ass. Yeah. And I expect them to do the same in their life. Mm-hmm. They will not take shit from anybody.
Right.
They will not be doormats. They will be kind, upstanding citizens, but they're not going to be treated like birds. Mm-hmm. And, yeah. My daughter, too.
Yeah, that's, I think it's an important thing. I think you're way, if he's already 4, you know, you're already way ahead of the game, so he's going to be fine, just as long as he stays away from Joe, you know, and keep your daughter away from Stacy.
Because all these women are told, like, you need a man in their lives, and so they're like, oh shit, what do I do? And so they get the first man that'll come home with them, and then that stepdad that ends up beating the kids, and it's just bad all around.
You had told me that you know, it's been a while. Are you still trying to come to terms with everything? I mean, or do you date at all and just avoid being serious, or how do you handle that?
I actually had this talk last night with somebody. I have not physically touched a man in a little over a year. I don't go out. I don't date. I recognize I'm not ready. I'm not ready in any way, shape, or form. And I kind of got shamed for it by some girlfriends. They, you know, you just need to go out and have a one-night stand. You just need to go out and get laid. And I would say no. You know, I cannot do that. I do not want to be that girl the next morning who is like, you know, crap, why did I do that? Just to feel better for 15 minutes or whatever. And kind of, they made me feel bad about it. They really did. And I think that's something else that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah.
You know, hookup culture doesn't solve your problems either.
Yeah. Somebody had, I saw a tweet today. I can't remember who it was from, but they said and I actually retweeted it because I actually believe in it, as a younger man, you need to get out there and experience, and if you need to experiment with multiple girls, that sort of thing, because it's kind of healthy in a way, because you get out there and you learn and you get your heart broken. You don't learn anything until that happens. You got to get out there and, you got to try the buffet. That's just how it is. And when you get older, you kind of realize things. And at this point in time in my life, I'm the same way, because one, I'm trying to focus on the things I'm doing. And I really enjoy what I'm doing now. I work 2 jobs. I'm going from 4 a.m. to, almost 10 p.m. every night. And doing that, it's not just a distraction. It's something that's important. And that way, if I do decide to get with someone, then, it's noteworthy. And she'll understand that this is my purpose. This is what I'm doing, yada, yada. But the other thing is that, like I told you, I'm a complete train wreck still. And I'm not going to bring somebody else into that. I'm not an emotional wreck. It's just that I'm not emotional enough.
Right.
And women need that. They need a little bit of something. And
right.
I mean, the last 3 did a number on me, and I could have been a crybaby about it, but I became a brick wall.
Yeah.
So, but that's for me. It's only unhealthy if I bring somebody into that and she tries to get me to open up, or, things like that. Do you love me the way I love you? No, I really don't. And I don't feel bad about saying that. That's a problem. It's a huge problem. And I'm man enough and good enough.
Self-awareness for you to realize that is really good.
Yeah. I mean, good. I don't want to do to people what they did to me.
Absolutely.
I don't want to hurt anybody, because I don't hate women. I'm not MGTOW. I don't need to go. If I go somewhere, I'm going to come right back. I don't. Where am I going to go my own way? And what? Miss out on sex? No, absolutely not.
And I feel like when you have been put through absolute hell, you develop, if you don't already have it, like this whole layer of empathy where you literally don't want to see somebody else hurt. You don't want to be that person, like, that caused you that amount of pain. So I'm with you. That's another reason I'm just not ready. Because I will flip out if you don't tell me you love me 75 times. I just got to that headspace. I need that reassurance, and it's not fair for me to expect that from somebody. It's just not.
Right.
But I see all the time some of these men who are like, if she doesn't sleep with you by the 3rd date or whatever, you move on to the next one. And stuff like that really does affect me and scare me. Because I don't know when I'll be ready to. And that kind of narrative out there, it scares me that a potentially good fit might dip out on me because I'm not putting out by the 3rd date.
And then that sets you further back.
I suppose they wouldn't be that good if they did dip out, really.
Right.
Now that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, because something like that, especially for someone who has been through what you have, and that sets you even further back. And now you're like, well, I just that was a big mistake. So I'm going to go another 1.5 years,
right?
And then you wait, and then
just dry up everybody, just
right, right, and then because you're scared of Joe, you're just scared of these wrong ones, and the ones that which. If a man in his youth, and I'm not going to lie, I've been with enough. I'm okay with long term. I'm okay with not getting laid on the first date because I have other things going on. If she doesn't put out, okay, I'll go write a blog post.
Right.
Whatever. I'll go write a song. I have other things. It's when guys start. I'm going to go ahead and say it. When guys start chasing pussy, that's when everything goes downhill. It goes downhill really fast. It goes downhill for them. It goes downhill for the rest of the world. It makes them desperate, and women can sniff desperate a mile away, and then they get angry, and then they go MGTOW and NoFap, and they post about it online, and I got a mental picture of 2,700 different men with their dicks in their hands, and I can't stand it.
Well,
so this is where we are.
We figured it out. This is part of the problem, though, because the girls that they meet at the bar that they take home and, you know, sleep with first night, those girls are just as screwed up because they're looking for validation through that sex. Like, okay, I'm gonna have sex and then I'm gonna feel good about myself, and it's a vicious cycle. And so then the guy did that on her, so now she feels even worse about herself.
Right.
And nobody understands that cycle. It's just like, what can you people not see about this?
Yep. And it's funny that you brought that up because I saw something, I was reading something last night that is actually a pretty cool concept. It's, day game. Yeah. So you're meeting girls in the daytime. And because when you go out, the girls in the club have one of two, my God, I can't get my words right. They have purposes. They have one of two purposes. One is to definitely get laid, or two is to dress skimpy, dance upon the guy, grind their ass on his dick. Man, this is getting really, really profane, but tell it like it is. That's what she's trying to do. And then you really, at that point, you can't blame the guy for being angry because she showed all the signs of wanting to sleep with him. Now she doesn't. Right. So in the daytime, women aren't grinding on crotches. Normally, there's not a whole lot of day clubs. Yeah. Unless you go to a strip club, and you don't want to go to a strip club in the daytime. Trust me. I've heard. So you get, when you're doing the whole day game thing, and there was this movie with Ryan Reynolds. He's like, oh, don't take her to lunch. That's the friendship date. But in ways it's not, because it's really working for guys. And it doesn't sound as bad. Like, I'm seeing these day game instances because they post about it. There's a lot of guys out there that are doing this whole day game thing. And they're telling the story, and none of it sounds creepy. When it's nighttime stuff, it sounds really creepy and dirty and just, I don't know, it's kind of over the top.
You get alcohol involved, and everybody just loses their inhibitions, and just game on.
Exactly. So
feeling like shit about themselves, and who's laying next to them, and they're like, and then that adds to that cycle. Well, now I gotta feel good about myself again, so I'm gonna go back out and find somebody else who will maybe stay with me this time if I sleep with them, but they never stay with you.
Right.
Stay with you.
No, it's bad for both sides. Stacy's not going to stay, and Joe's not going to stay. It's not going to happen.
Hello.
They're not going to stay. And people know, when you got to the club, you might as well know. And I'm going to tell you what fixed me. This literally fixed me. A lot of guys talk about this, but this book, The Rational Male, literally fixed me because I was going through a one-itis, and the thing that stood out the most to me was men are logical and women are emotional. And if men try to make logical their emotions and bring emotion into their logic, that there's two reasons why men usually have a harder time getting over a breakup. One is because the woman broke up with him 2 months ago. She just didn't tell him yet. And two is because he sits there going, why? Why does that? Why? Don't worry about it. Something happened. It was either hypergamy, as they say, or it was you just weren't cutting it. It's a lot of times the guy's just not cutting it, and that's okay. Get your shit together. And when you get your shit together, there's a lot of times, because I've had issues in the past where I didn't get my shit together, I fell off, and then I got my shit together, and the girls came back. And that's all you got. You got to back off. You can't. And this whole game thing, you got to be good at that. You got to be really good. I'm not good at it. I am terrifying when I approach women. It's terrifying. So when I'm at both of my jobs, I have to talk to people. So I get flirted with a lot at my job.
I don't know why you say you're terrified. Like, what is scary for you?
Well, and then we get in when I'm at my job, I'm in an orange shirt. So, and we're behind a desk and there's a girl working with me. So I must be okay. I haven't killed her yet. And there's stuff going on. So I work in a fitness studio, and the girls that come in, I have to kind of tone it down, but I don't tone it down all the way. So they still get that out, and I'll sit up on the desk and I'll still flirt a little bit, and they love it. But if I do that in real life, if I just walk up to a desk and start flirting with women, it's who, why? I mean, what do you want? But the rational male really fixed me, because it told me to, first of all, dude, back off. If you suck at game, if you suck at talking to women, don't talk to them. Just don't. Just stop. Let it go. And the only I really don't talk this much. I have to, because it's a podcast. Whatever. So it's not a mute people festival. So it got me through, because I'm telling you, I was still writing songs. I was still doing some cover songs. I was still writing, journaling, things like that.
Yeah.
And I read this book, and I read it in like 3 days, and it literally fixed me. I was a changed person now. Do I still fuck up? Oh yeah, I still do. I had an opportunity with someone that I shouldn't have taken an opportunity with. I'm not going to go into the details, but I should not have let this happen. Yeah. And luckily it didn't go further than it did. Yeah. Okay. I won't give any details, but she was married. So and she started it. I'm a dude. I went with it, and I thought, you know what, this is not cool. And sure enough, she basically called me out as being the one who, because I don't go after married women. I don't go after anybody. When I tell you I go after nobody. And she came after me, and I'm like, and she said, she threw some things in my face that she said, claiming that I was the one who brought these things up. And I'm thinking, you suggest, but there's no need to argue. I was just thinking, you suggested these things. And basically she's like, so I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I'm married. And I'm thinking, well, wow, I didn't know that. After the fact.
So did you then?
So she instigated it. She was the instigator. I knew she was married. Yeah. I did not. When I tell you I did not initiate anything, I was just as platonic as I possibly could be. And she kept on, and she kept on, and she kept on. And she had she trains the studio, and she was getting shin splints. So she's like, look, you're a trainer outside of here, right? I said, yeah. I said, let me go ahead and tell you, I can't tell you a whole lot unless you see me at the mall or something. So I can just tell you there's some. Yeah, right. So I told her, I said, buy these compression sleeves. And she's like, what are compression sleeves? I'm like, right. Yeah, you don't know what compression sleeves are. And so I sent them to her. She came in, walked in again. And this was, if you came up to me right now and sat in my lap and put your arm around me and put your tongue down my mouth, I would have no idea you were flirting with me. I am that oblivious. Okay. So after all this is going on, I look over, and the girl I'm working with is standing there going, she's looking at me like Tucker Carlson. And I'm like, what? She's like, what was that about? I said, what do you mean? She wants to know about shin splints. I said, no, she doesn't. She wants to smash. What is wrong with you? I said, no. And no. She's, yeah. So she comes in a few days later. She's like, can you text me that again? Because I deleted it. I'm thinking, you probably deleted it because you don't want your husband to see it. So I was dog sitting for my drummer. Which is where I am. This is not this lovely installation and whatnot. This is not my abode. So I was dog sitting, and I got a little bit lit, got a little bit tipsy.
Yeah.
And she was talking about the shin splints, and I said, look, bruh. I call women bruh. I said, look, bruh. I said, get your husband to massage your shins. And when the massage, you do it towards the heart, because that helps, pump all the stuff. Blood, that thing. And she's like, this is what I said, okay? I did not ask for this. I had not hit on her. All I said was, get your husband, the guy you married, to massage your shins, because just putting these things on is not going to help. She's like, She's like, do you give massages? Because my husband kind of sucks at them.
Oh my God.
And that was one of the things she threw in my face.
That's a crazy game.
Correct. And I'm like, sure? I don't, because I don't know how to flirt. I don't know. That's why I didn't initiate. It's not like I initiated and like, well, now what do I do? And so and I think I kind of wanted to do it. Once I found out she was flirting with me, I tried to do it as practice.
Yeah.
But then it just, because if you can woo a married woman, you can probably woo a not married woman, you know.
Absolutely.
And it just didn't. It got to that point, and she just, I have a bad temper, and she just hit me wrong with something. I'm like, why are you texting me? This is enough. You're stalking my story on Instagram. She added me she followed me before I followed her. And you're stalking my story, and you're doing all these little cutesy faces and stuff, and you're saying all these things. It's like, what do you want? And that's when it went sour. It went sour.
Yeah. Good. That worked out for.
And that's what I said. I said, thank God it's over.
Yeah.
But it would have. Point is, it would have gotten worse if I hadn't read The Rational Male, because I held my frame long enough. I held the frame, did it no problem. Then when she came at me and started blaming me for stuff, that's when I lost my shit. Because I'm going to lose my shit at blame.
If you would have just walked when she said she was married.
You know.
Yes, Kate, you're right. It's
been as long for me as it has been for you. Not gonna lie.
It sucks, no?
Yeah. But you're not creepy. You could. Yours is more choice. Mine is not choice. I'm just a little too much to handle, because the personality and the eyebrows and the scowl, all that kind of stuff.
It's good though. I think it's a good thing we have become monks, basically.
Mm.
I do. It sucks. I get so lonely. I'm so lonely.
Yeah.
90% of the time. But I know how I'd feel about myself if I could just go out and have a bunch of one-night stands. I would feel like absolute shit. So I choose to take the loneliness over those Band-Aids like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think isolation is actually less dangerous for women than it is for men. Not because they have any less of a purpose, but because I think you guys can handle it a lot more. Like, I've never been lonely a day in my life, but the isolation gets to me. So I'm somewhere in between introvert and extrovert. So I got to have both. So I'm constantly, not only with if I'm alone with my demons, and I can't stand that, because I already have to battle them. Yeah. And I need to be moving when I'm battling them. If I'm just sitting in my room, then I start listening to shitty music, sad music, and I can't stand it. I got to put on some death metal and go for a drive.
Yeah.
And do you drink?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'll have some wine occasionally, but.
See, I wish I could do that. I wish I could just have some wine. Just have a slice of pizza. No.
You can't just have one. I
am 100% all in everything I do.
Yeah.
I cannot half-ass anything.
Home. Yeah.
That's it. It's with alcohol. It's with food. It's with working out. It's with sex. And that was another problem that I had in my relationships, is that there was too much sex.
What?
I'm not a sex addict. It's just, it's got to be a lot. And everybody's like, well, it's typical guy. No, typical guy. Let me tell you what. In the Greek myths, Hercules
is your tea like on point? You like are breaking the mold on testosterone?
I got it tested when I was 34, but I was in a really bad place at the time, so it was not a good time to get it tested.
Yeah.
It was when I really started drinking heavier. I was around 34, 35, and like my life was going nowhere. I was working in a grocery store. I was a church janitor, and I'm not gonna bash that. I got paid, but it was a really bad time. I was really depressed.
Yeah.
And I got it tested, and it was normal. It was a normal amount, but I've always been like that.
Right.
So it's like I always tell people, it's, in the Greek myths, Hercules impregnated 50 Amazons in one night. Well, I think that's cute. Ooh. That's real cute. Step up your game a little bit. But it caused a lot of problems, and it gave me a complex. I thought something was wrong with me. And this was actually before the porn addiction.
Okay.
So, it just caused it like, why? Well, I'm not supposed to be sexual. Yeah. And I was never taught to suppress my sex drive. A lot of boys are being taught that now. You're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to, whatever. Don't go flapping around the helicopter.
Right.
But it caused a huge issue with me and women because back then it was even worse in my 20s because I was lifting weights. I was taking stuff that's illegal now, but was legal back then.
Yeah. You
don't have any kind of good over the counter testosterone and anti-estrogen supplements anymore. You can't get them. They're snake oil. And I was taking this, so it was causing hypersexuality. I already had it. This just made it worse. And it was causing deviance. It was causing sexual deviance. Taking these things. And I understand how bodybuilders on steroids are with roid rage. And I never got quite that bad, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah. And
it caused some serious issues for me. And I think I got into a point where I just had no sex drive. And I think that's what, and then when, of course, I got involved with some women who weren't quite as crazy and were actually also one of the girls I dated a few years ago was tremendously hypersexual. So we clicked. And so that kind of brought it back, but I went through a phase where I just wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in porn. I wasn't interested in sex. I wasn't interested in women. The thought of it made me sick. When I tell you it made me sick, I mean, after do the act with the girl, and afterwards I'm disgusted. I gotta walk away. Where are you going? I gotta go. I can't stand this. And it caused, and this is a problem when you teach boys to not be sexual, right, and to not advance, not cause a #MeToo problem, but right, to not advance on women, at least talk to girls. That's the kind of crap it teaches them, right, and it ruins their psychology.
Yeah,
and it's a huge deal. And I don't even know how I even got on that, but it needed to be said because people need to hear what happens when.
Yeah, I mean, because this stuff is so taboo and nobody talks about it, but it needs to be talked about.
Yeah,
that's why I speak about my experience. What good is staying silent going to do? I can't possibly be the only woman out there that's been recorded by her husband.
No, and that's why I wanted to have you on.
I was like, where in the hell's my manual? I don't know what to do right now. I have no clue what to do. What direction do I go? And all I kept thinking was, God damn it, Google, can't you pull up something? Has somebody not ever talked about this before? And right. So when I filed and was comfortable enough to start talking, I thought, I'm going to talk. Because I don't want any woman in my position, staying with some douchebag because she doesn't know what else to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because there are women who have been through it, and there are probably women who are going through it now, and I think we're probably going to cause a string of hysteria and paranoia. Women are going to be checking under their couches and
checking everything,
checking their showers. Oh my God, is somebody in the vent? You're sitting on the toilet wondering, oh my God.
That's literally what it did to me. When I finally filed, I would spend nights going around with, I think it's called a magnometer or something, mm-hmm, something that can tell where there's a camera. And I would just walk up. I was paranoid. I was a legit crazy person. I'm not ashamed about that at all. But that's the level of what that did to me. And yeah, still to this day, when I walk out of my house, I look around. I feel like I'm being watched sometimes. When the kids come back from visitations, I'll, tear the backpacks apart thinking maybe there's a camera in there or something. So.
Yeah, when you texted me earlier and you're like, this is going to be all audio, right? I'm like, shit. I can't video Cake. I'm going to traumatize her more.
Oh, man, somebody recognize me from that one porn channel or something.
It's like, she looks familiar, but there's no shower. So, yeah. And you know what else? If this gets out there, because I'm getting, the craziest thing is I'm getting hella recognition, and I'm getting, it's been monetized. So yay.
Yay.
And so I'm afraid that people are going to start Googling Cake in the shower.
Dude, I've tried. Good luck. I will legit pay somebody if they find me.
Wait, did your husband call you Cake?
No.
Okay. Cake was after the fact, right?
After the fact.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they don't know. A lot of people don't know your real name, and so they don't. Yeah, that would be kind of hard to Google.
I've tried searching for it. So it gets worse. I don't know how it could get much worse than your mom dying and your husband secretly recording you. Yeah. But when I found the tablet and gave him an opportunity to, straighten up, get help, whatever, I had hidden the tablet actually under this couch, under the couch cushions. Something told me to hide it. When things started going downhill, he was acting crazy. I went to look for the tablet and it wasn't here anymore. He had taken the tablet. He had found that I had hidden it, and he took it. When I filed for divorce, we had this thing what's called a deposition, which we all sit in a room and our attorneys ask each other questions, whatnot. And so my attorney asked him where the tablet was, and he said he destroyed all the evidence. Okay. At that time, I wasn't thinking of pressing charges. I just wanted to get my divorce, move on with my life. But like I said earlier, when I was burning some evidence onto a flash drive, I stumbled across the video from 2016. And it was the morning I had a hearing for my divorce. And so I called my attorney. He said, bring me the video. So I took it to him. We talked, and I said, at this point, knowing it has gone back multiple years, like I have to call the police. And I actually had evidence of this. The other evidence apparently has been destroyed. So I called the cops. They found enough evidence to press charges. It made it through grand jury. He was, officially charged. He had to wear a little GPS monitor. It looked like everything was smooth sailing. Back in October, the district attorney for the county I'm in called me and told me they had made a huge error, that this specific type of charge, invasive visual recording, only has a 3-year statute of limitations. And they had missed the cutoff by 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Jury. By 3 weeks. So the whole case was missed. And in that moment, like, I already lost faith in family court. It's a shit show. But that the criminal court let me down like that, I've basically been throwing my middle fingers up to everybody and everything since then. Like, whatever. Nobody's going to protect me. Nobody's going to do the right thing. He gets off on a freaking mistake by the district attorney. And, so I just keep thinking something good is going to happen one of these days. But,
I mean, it has to, because
it's worse.
You keep getting a shit sandwich thrown at you with no olive.
One thing.
Where's your olive?
After another.
Yeah. So nothing recent has gone bad.
I wouldn't say that, but.
Okay. Yeah. But nothing to warrant you losing your shit altogether,
Yeah, I've been pretty close, but but I've kept it together.
Yeah.
It helps when I take the attitude that I've made it through some shit, and people can keep trying to throw stuff at me, but nothing's going to bring me down.
Right.
I have a purpose to, like I said, help people heal, show them there's a way out of hell, and people can throw curveballs at me all they want, but you're not going to kick me down. It's not going to keep me from helping others.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like I told you, I brought up some of your writing.
Yeah.
Some paragraphs. You won't know which ones, but you wrote them, so you're like, when the hell did I write that? Yeah, but
putting outside of my body at that point, because sometimes I do that.
Yeah. No, these were the four, because I wanted to go back and read, and you've written a lot. You've written a shit ton. And I didn't realize how much. And I'm scrolling, and I scroll back up, and I said, I won't get that far right now. I probably read like 10 of them.
Yeah.
So it's more recent. So I want to read it off, and I want to let you talk about it.
Okay.
Because people, not letting any cats out of the bag here. Your blog is free for everyone to read. So I just pulled some paragraphs that resonated with me. So first one is, I still believe that people sincerely value me when in reality want to use me because of my story. They want to use me because I'm pretty. I know what that's like. They want to use me because they see my good soul and they try to suck it out of me for their own personal gain time and time again. And I'll let them. This is how I know I haven't learned a thing while stuck in this vortex of Barnum and Bailey's seventh circle of circus hell. Part of me feels like there's no God, because what God lets a person be repeatedly violated, betrayed, and shamed?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going through some stuff when I wrote that. I
had no idea. I thought it was one of your brighter moments.
Here's the thing. I grew up in a really small town. Probably less than 5,000 people, apparently under a rock. I had no idea evil people existed prior to what happened to me with my husband. And even after that, I still didn't really think people were that bad. I was under this illusion that everybody wants to help everybody else, because that's what I want to do. I assume everybody else is just like me. I'm finding out it's not true, but when you got a story, and when you're a female, and when you are naive and vulnerable, like myself, it's really easy to be taken advantage of. And I haven't found that balance to discern when people are sincerely interested in me or when they're looking to get something out of me. And I don't know if I ever will. For a little bit, I almost thought of just saying screw it all, but something inside me said you can't. You have to keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's where that came from.
I either was very meticulous in putting these in some kind of order because they kind of flow, or that's just the way you wrote them, because these actually descend from recent to prior.
Yeah.
So the next one is, and this is really good, because this is something that a lot of people probably struggle with. I think that resilience is a trait that can be acquired. I can go even further to say that I think trauma certainly gives one who's experienced it an edge in building resilience, but for the most part, trauma does not and should not precede one becoming resilient.
I went back and forth for a long time, wondering if I was born resilient. What was making me so strong? I couldn't figure out how I kept waking up the next morning. How did I keep taking care of these two kids and a dying mother and myself? I wasn't really taking care of myself, but I was making it. And I kind of came to the conclusion that we all have a possibility to be resilient. There are things like your locus of control that shape that resilience. But I don't believe a certain group of us are selected to be stronger than the others. I think it's choices. I think people can either choose to succumb to whatever happens to them, or use their own tools to rise above and to become stronger and to become a better person. You know? And that goes along with victim mentality too.
Yeah, that's another thing running rampant.
Yeah.
I think it profits no one.
I don't know what I said about it, but I came across something one day that said, you are victimized, but you're not a victim. And I was like, hell yes, that's exactly what happened. I was victimized, but I'm not a victim.
Right.
I feel so weak when I'm called a victim. I'd be like, screw you, I'm not a victim.
Right. Yeah. It's like you may have failed, but you're not a loser. You're not a loser until you may have failed, but you're not a loser. Yeah. So you're not a loser until you quit. Yeah. You're not a loser until you quit.
Yeah.
When you quit, yeah. And then there's another one that I really like, because sometimes you got to throw your hands up. It's okay. You don't have to give up, but it's okay to give in.
Ooh.
That kind of thing. So, sometimes it's you don't stop. You just give in and say, you know what, I can't fight this by myself. I either take a break or I gotta pray or whatever it is people do. And,
right.
You just give in for a second,
And see, when I went through what I went through, I was so shamed. Like, I did not want to tell people why I was getting divorced. One of the worst days of my life was having to tell my mother, who was already facing her own mortality. And then I have to tell her this perfect son-in-law heinously violated her daughter, her own child. It was horrible. I still haven't told most of my family. I'm still too ashamed about it. Even though I couldn't see, I didn't do anything, but one of those things.
Yeah. And your mom doesn't call you Cake either, right?
No.
Okay. It'd be funny if she did. Let's see. So this one's a little bit longer, which is what he said. Here's what I was missing. Understanding that my needs matter. I never learned that it was okay to prioritize my own needs and feelings before others. Therefore, I had no idea how to acknowledge and express them when they arose. It was uncomfortable for me to admit I was feeling a certain way or that I had a need. I felt incredibly selfish when I did. This has been terribly lonely and isolating for me because I've been under the false impression that no one cared about me as I did them, and that my needs didn't matter. A lot of unnecessary inner anger and bitterness has been the result of these fallacious beliefs.
People pleaser. I still bend over backwards to make sure people are happy. There's no conflict. Conflict gets me spun up. It gives me anxiety. I just want to make sure everybody's like kosher, nothing's wrong in the world. And I would neglect myself to make sure other people were happy. I still haven't overcome all of it, but it goes back to that, releasing control. It's not my job to make sure other people are okay or taken care of or getting what they need or whatever. I have to focus on me. And it does make me feel selfish. It makes me feel highly selfish. But that goes back to having divorced parents. Having to make sure one was okay when I returned home from visitation. And so I try to be cognizant about that with my own. I don't ask them questions, what happened at Dad's or anything like that. I don't want to put them in the position to have to read on my face that affects me, them coming home from their house. So, yeah. I'm a people pleaser. I hate it.
Yeah, I used to be that way. And with me, it's either one or the other. It's either sure or fuck you. There's no in between.
I'm the same way. I give people a couple of chances, but when they cross that line, I'll tell them fuck you and I'll slam the door. And
right,
like, I don't give a shit if I ever look at you, see you, talk to you again. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the other extreme. Like, up until that point, I will bend over to kiss your ass, make sure you're taken care of.
Yeah.
Haven't found that middle yet.
Right. The last one, I saved the humdinger for last.
Oh gosh.
So when my mother got her cancer diagnosis, I remember having the thought, why do bad things have to happen to good people? She hasn't so much as killed a fly. I've never heard her say a foul word, and she's the most giving person I know. After months of cursing God and not understanding why this had happened to her, because she was a good person, so good things should be happening, I came to the realization that this belief of good things happening to good people is nothing more than a mindset to get us to achieve success, to have the oomph to go after big dreams, and to leave behind our fears.
That would make me tear up.
I was afraid of that, but I had to throw it out there.
It's okay. It's okay. I had to realize that good or bad, none of us control our fate. You can't do X amount of good things and make it to 100 years old. It just doesn't work that way. Life does what life does. But I think we trick ourselves into thinking if I do good things, I'll last forever. And I think that's okay. I think that's an okay coping mechanism, but it's just not reality. Bad things happen to good people, and it's unfortunate.
I came up with something, or something just was bestowed to me by a higher power, that kind of made me have peace, because the worst thing, I mean, other than my mom getting sick, luckily she survived that. I mean, she survived breast cancer, heart attack, the whole 9 yards. So I'm fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the worst thing that ever happened to me is just having depression. And I have literally had to crawl myself out of the abyss.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if I could pick from, being a soldier, being shot up, stabbed, blown up, acid thrown at him, rolling over an IED, whatever, and terminal illness and depression, I pick depression every time.
Really?
It's the crazy thing about it is that other people who have depression worse than me don't feel that way. They'd rather be shot at. It's so bad. But I think that, and I've never been suicidal. I have no idea what it's like to be suicidal. Never crossed my mind. Never would, thankfully.
Yeah.
I've never gotten to that point. I've been at some pretty dark points. But I think, and this includes terminal illness, there are people on this earth, if you're talking about divine intervention, there's divine pre-intervention, that some people are more capable of handling darkness than other people are.
Yeah.
So it got given to us so that we could carry it so they wouldn't have to.
Right.
However, sometimes it goes to the wrong person, and it goes to people who can't handle it. And that's why you have suicide. That's why you have, those things. That's why you have euthanasia.
Yeah.
People who want to go ahead and, because it just gets so bad. And you have some people who are, stage 4, whatever, they're handling it. They have, bipolar type 1, and they literally see demons, they see horrible things, and there's nothing worse than experiencing something that's not there. Yeah. If you're getting shot at least you know where it's coming from.
Right.
But when you have these invisible, malevolent forces and you can't put a face on them, at least give me a face. And it's probably a face I don't want to see, but at least it's there. Yeah. And I just think that I actually got to the point where I became proud to know that the divine presence found me strong enough to handle all this shit that life throws at me.
Yeah.
So perhaps you're one of those people, and so is your mom.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we got to think about it.
Fully believe. I'm a special person. I do. And that's a lot that gets me through my days is believing I have a reason to be here.
Yeah.
And that the higher power does believe in me and knows that I can handle shit. Now, sometimes I do say, like, okay, I'm good. Can we, are we good now? Can you just...
Right. Yeah.
But then the universe is like, nope, you got another lesson to learn, girlfriend. And so the other curveball. And then I take it.
Yeah.
Because what else am I going to do?
Right. So, to wrap things up, what's a major piece of advice that you would give to anyone, male or female, right now going through any kind of struggle whatsoever? Because we can't put a price on everyone else's struggle, because somebody else's struggle may be worse than someone else's, that sort of thing,
Take care of yourself. Forgive yourself. I know that was probably the hardest one for me to understand and to do. I kept thinking, why do I need to forgive myself? I didn't do anything. But I did, because I didn't listen to my intuition. There were times that I think, he just seems off. Something's just not right here. I had to forgive myself for shaming myself, for feeling guilt, for feeling like I wasn't worthy. I had to forgive myself for all of those things. So that's a big one. I think that once I got over that hurdle, I was like going uphill at that point. Journal. If you're going through a hard time, I highly recommend writing. It gets the thoughts out. Helps you put some puzzles together. I think when you go through some shit, there might be some missing pieces. Writing helps your bring those out of the unconscious forward.
Yeah.
I think it starts to make sense. And you also develop a pattern. So if I say next week the bottom drops out again and I'm going through shit, I look back at my journals and I'm like, okay, Kate, that's how you handled the last time you were going through stuff, and it really helps. It really does. So stay strong. Know that you have a reason to be here. Find your purpose. Really.
Right. Well, I really want to thank you for doing this and getting your story out there, because there's a lot of people, men and women that need to hear this kind of stuff, because there's a lot of people struggling out there, and a lot of them don't know why, and they need to kind of move past the why and just figure out the how going forward.
Be kind to each other. We are all going through something. It's so important to be kind.
Yeah. Yeah. Where can, as far as platforms go, where can everyone find you as far as your blog and as far as social media?
Blog is cakeinacrisis.com. Twitter is cakeinacrisis_. I believe. Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. And you don't do much with Instagram.
Deep reading.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy.
I can tell people, if you appreciate deep writing, if you appreciate the cryptic, if you appreciate it can really be cathartic for you. I know it is for me, and I know it can be cathartic for other people, because reading. It sounds almost morbid that someone else's pain can help you, but a lot of times it can, and that's what it's there for. So I want to thank you for being here, and I hope we can do this again in the future.
We will. Thank you.
All right, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.